In order to make paper clay, you have to make a simple paste first. The paste consists of all-purpose flour, white glue, Elmer's generic, whatever kind. If you're going to do more than one small project, I definitely recommend going to a home improvement store, buying it in the big jug. It's much more economical. Water, and then I like to use liquid cornstarch in it. I think it does help dry it a little faster. I did get this recipe from Stolween, so definitely head over to his website, see some of his amazing creations he makes with paper clay. And then just something to mix it with. You can use a kitchen mixer. Don't use the one you're going to go and make cakes with after, because you are using adhesives and they tend to not wash off as well. You can also use like a big 5-gallon bucket and a paint mixer drill bit. That works well too. You can use paper clay for pretty much anything you need to sculpt with. Nothing too fine detailed and small, because it does have a bit of a lumpy surface. You can smooth it out somewhat, but it's not going to be a perfect porcelain finish like you would get with an epoxy sculptor, a female. I did make Jack's head out of paper clay, and then for the small details, the nose and the eyes, I did use epoxy sculpt for that. So here we go. So you're going to need 3 cups of all-purpose flour, a half a cup of glue, half a cup of liquid cornstarch, and then water. There you have it, paper paste. I like to make it like a runny pancake batter. It does have a little bit of chunks in it, so I might mix it a little more just to get those flour chunks out of there. That's it, paper paste. Onto the clay. You're going to take some of that paste that you've already made. You're going to add 2 ingredients. Joint compound, you can get at any home improvement store, this nice goopy white substance, and cellulose insulation. It comes in this huge white block you can find in the insulation section at Lowe's or Home Depot, any home improvement stores. And what it is, it's basically recycled newspaper that has been pulped. You can actually see some of the print on there still. It does have some little fibers that fly in the air, but that's pretty much all it is paper. It's not the insulation that we used to have in our attics as kids that all made us itchy and sneeze and eyes water like crazy. It's just paper that's been pulped. Some people use paper towels or toilet paper. There's so many different recipes out there. I like this because it's already made and it's easy. We're going to do a small batch. You definitely only want to make as much as you're going to use in the next 2 to 3 days. Make sure you store it in the refrigerator because it will mold. It will smell pretty nasty after a while. So we're going to do about 3 cups of that paste. You will have plenty of the paste left over from the first recipe. You definitely want to keep that on hand. You're going to need that. So 3 cups of the paste, about half a cup of the joint compound, and you're going to mix this up until it's nice and smooth. Alright, now I don't have any measurements for this stuff. You just kind of want to add it and just keep mixing until it's the consistency that you want. Just do a little bit at a time, break it up as you go. Like I said, there's a lot of fibers that fly, so if you have any allergies, you might want to wear a mask on your face. Okay, I think we're probably about good. So I like to make it to the consistency that you can roll it in a ball, it'll still hold its shape. You can make some indentions, it'll still keep its shape there, but yet it's still a little wet. So you can work with it pretty well, and you can make it stick to the mache pretty easily. How do we use this stuff? Let me show you. First, you're going to paper mache like we all did in school. I hated it, never a big fan. Took these strips, dunked it in there, got your hands all nasty and goopy, laid it on. No, not for me. I like to take a cheap paintbrush, just kind of goop it on there, put your strips on, paint over it. Pick up the next strip, and so on. Just repeat like that. Do it over and over again. Let it dry in between each layer. It's pretty important, otherwise you end up getting kind of some saggy spots there. I like this way because it keeps your hands from getting too nasty. You know, in case you need to have an emergency snuggle time with your dog or your cat, you don't want to stick to Fluffy. So after you're done with all of your layers, you want to make sure that you do enough layers that it is strong enough to hold the clay. Once the clay dries, it's not that heavy, but when it's wet, it does have a ton of moisture and can get to be a little cumbersome on the paper mache if it's not sturdy enough. This stuff does not shrink like air dry clay does, which is awesome. So you kind of just work with it like a normal clay. It's a lot easier to work with than a normal clay because it doesn't have a fast dry time. It does take sometimes 2 to 3 days depending on how thick of a layer you put on there. I would put it in front of a fan for sure. So as you can see, it does have a lumpy texture. It's not that smooth, but you can get it a little smoother by taking that paste that you just used for your strips and just painting it on top and using your paintbrush to kind of work that out a little bit. There. See? A little smoother. It also does, if you need to do any kind of sculpting, or there's just an example to do any details, it will hold details and dry exactly the same, no shrinking. It takes paint really well. Dry brushing is usually the best technique because it does have texture, so it can really grip onto those colors and pull them off the brush. If you're going to leave these outside, which is what I do, I leave them outside for months at a time, just waterproof it. Get some clear sealant. I think I used deck sealant that I got in the Oops section. Once it dries, this is what it looks like before paint. Hard as a rock. My 3-year-old has kicked it over many times and I haven't had one break yet. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. If you'd like to learn more about some inexpensive Halloween props, then please click to subscribe. Thank you.